Inside the wake of being dismissed, Bitcoin is seeming a little return and intending to our proposition help level. The video on concluding Bitcoin's caused significant damage is essential since it watches out for the forthcoming appearance of CPI information and charts the basic exchanging levels for the 1 more hours inside the regardless spot. We should review our video from as of late sometime as of late we start. We assessed our colossal proposition help area of around 42,000. Lately, the help level for Bitcoin was broken and the regard began to move lower. It encompassed a superior move on the Bybit format more than a 2-hour time frame along these lines. Why was there a better than normal chance of the broad going up, or perhaps a not really awful chance of it gaining ground? We got to look at our CVD pointer. What's more, check the charts from different trades like Coinbase and Bitstamp. Inside the in the first place put, tolerating you look at the BIMBY design, you might see that the CVD marker is seeming a lower move though Bitcoin is beginning to shape a superior move. The strain from purchasers is solid, so the GOT didn't go lower, which offers a positive hint for the exhibit. To this end, we are seeing the broad go up by around 4% from the base. Tolerating that we look at the Coinbase and Bitstamp diagrams as of now, there's a better than normal open door that the caused significant damage will go up because it has gone higher than the past falling brief on the 2 trades. On Bitstamp, the GOT has gone lower, and on Coinbase, the diagram gives off an impression of being equivalent. An unused beat spot down. This lower move was encircled with a lot of exchanging movement, particularly on the 4-hour format. There was truly trading movement when the expense went down, separated with when it went up inside the wake of showing up at the past move. Individuals down there got hurt without an inquiry. Yet again the cash-related exchange went down, nevertheless is straightforwardly starting to go up because more individuals are getting stocks, normally making the grandstand appear to be conspicuously really captivating. That is the way by which I see it.as of now, ready to see a 5-wave anticipate the Coinbase format, regardless fair a 3-wave anticipate the Bybit diagram. In the first place, how around we look at the outline for Coinbase. On the 4-hour or perhaps the 2-hour diagram, prepare to see a cutting-edge move cause significant damage. We will additionally see an outline of 5 waves, in the first place up, by then down, by then up, by then, all in all down again. It appears as regardless of the way that there are 5 waves going down. On the Coinbase graph, we see one more tall at 44,700. In any case, on the more modest chart, we can't say there's a 5-wave cost plan. Before long there's another decision accessible. I must be seeing you that inside the event that this count is correct, Bitcoin is predictable shaping a confound cure. What does it brutal? The slipping progression we're seeing is figuratively speaking the start of our A wave. This moment, we are finishing our A wave, and there might be a B wave immediately, which would savage another non-appearance of a fix. Furthermore, some time later, we were pushed down again to wrap up. Our ABC alteration presumably won't be right since prepared to count 3 waves or perhaps than 5. Typically very much like the particularly thing we saw on Bybit, considering the truth that it had a high at all. We discussed this as of late, that is the explanation. We in addition require an exchange procedure for counting. Exactly when we take a gander at it, I like to use the Coinbase design and examine an ABC fix. So, exactly when we look at the drop in costs, I accept in light of everything, it was a dynamic reduce in 3 phases, as gone against to an unexpected drop. That is the explanation. We appear besides consider checking this whole modification as a 3-segment GOT plan. As of now, we will say our A wave is here as we go with our ABC. Our improvement outside looked like our B wave, and when we drove advance, it taken after our C wave. Subsequently, we are capable say that this was a fundamental fix. We are capable in like manner say exactly the same thing with a 2-fold chart. We have 3 waves, A, B, and C. Since we showed up at the following zenith and there's plausible showing up at a basically higher best in the midst of a level change. Exactly when an ABC is wrapped up, and Bitcoin is at this point after a horrendous ejection, seeing a little recuperation back into our deal help region. Regardless, the showcase Bitcoin cost figure video will be a critical one since we really need to inspect CPI information discharge. Furthermore, the thing are the taking after key levels that we will be trusting to exchange from inside the approaching hours. Nevertheless, what we, most crucially, will see, audit our the previous video. We analyzed our gigantic zone of proposition help at around 42,000. The help level as of late, dreadfully, it was broken towards burden and Bitcoin unexpectedly began shaping a couple of kind of a superior move looking on the 2-hour period of time on the Bybit diagram. Before long, why was here a genuinely tall likelihood of a skirt here, or absolutely a high probability of a recuperation of a couple of sort or another? I would agree that we truly need to expect into the idea our CVD pointer, and in addition the blueprint from particular trades like Coinbase and moreover Bitstamp. Most basically, right now looking on the BIMBY chart, you'll see lower move was encompassing on our CVD pointer though Bitcoin suddenly began shaping straightforwardly following being excused. Bitcoin is showing a little return and going to our help level. The video on concluding Bitcoin's cost is essential as it looks out for the approaching appearance of CPI information and plans the central exchanging levels for the next hours. Regardless, we should recall our video from yesterday before we start. We examined our giant help area of around 42,000. Lately, the help level for Bitcoin was broken and the value began to move lower. It illustrated a higher low on the Bibit outline in excess of a 2-hour time span. Subsequently, for what reason was there a decent opportunity of the cost going up, or possibly a good opportunity of it getting to a higher level? We ought to take a gander at our CVD pointer and besides check the graphs from different trades like Coinbase and Bitstamp. Regardless, expecting you take a gander at the BIMBI outline, you will see that the CVD marker is showing a lower low while Bitcoin is beginning to shape a higher low. The strain from purchasers is solid, so the cost didn't go lower, which offers a positive hint for the market. To this end, we are seeing the cost go up by around 4% from the base. Expecting that we take a gander at the Coinbase and Bitstamp graphs now, there is a fair entryway that the cost will go up in light of the fact that it has gone higher than the past, coming up short on the two trades. On Bitstamp, the cost has gone lower, and on Coinbase, the diagram is apparently basically indistinguishable. 0.1 more beat spot down. This lower low was illustrated with a great deal of exchanging movement, particularly on the 4-hour outline. There was genuinely exchanging action when the cost went down, separated from when it went up straightforwardly following appearance up at the past low. Individuals down there got hurt, pure and simple. The money-related exchange went down at any rate is before long beginning to go up again in light of the fact that more individuals are purchasing stocks. This is making the market appear perceptibly truly captivating. That is the manner by which I see it.at this moment. We can see a 5-wave anticipate the Coinbase outline, yet a 3-wave anticipate the BIB graph. In any case, might we at any point check out at the diagram for Coinbase? On the 4-hour or perhaps the 2-hour graph, we can see another negligible cost. Once more, we can comparatively see an outline of 5 waves, first up, then down, then up, then down. At long last down.it appears as though there are 5 waves going down. On the Coinbase outline, we see another high at 44,700. Regardless, on the more unassuming layout, we can't say there's a 5-wave cost plan. At this point, there is another choice accessible. I truly need to show you that assuming that this count is right, Bitcoin is real shaping a mix fix. What does it mean? The sliding improvement we're seeing is only the start of our A wave. This second, we are completing our A wave, and there may be a B wave right away, which would mean one more deficiency of a fix. Furthermore, a brief time frame later, we were pushed down again to wrap up. Our ABC change probably won't be right since we can count 3 waves rather than 5. This is like the very thing we saw on Bibit, considering the way that it had a higher high. We inspected this yesterday. That is the clarification. We likewise need a substitute methodology for counting. Precisely when we take a gander at it, I like to utilize the Coinbase casing and discuss an ABC fix. So, right when we take a gander at the dropping costs, I acknowledge, considering everything, it was a consistently developing decrease in 3 phases, as opposed to an unexpected drop. That is the clarification. We could likewise consider indicating this entire change as a 3-portion cost plan. At this moment, we can say our A wave is here as we go with our ABC. Our progression outside seemed to be our B wave, and when we drove further, it seemed to be our C wave. Accordingly, we can say that this was a fundamental fix. We can in this way say exactly the same thing with a twofold framework. We have 3 waves, A, B, and C, since we appeared at a higher pinnacle and there's con. The expectation is that it will be 3. The number before this was 3. Might you at any point, if it's not too much trouble, change the text you are discussing, if conceivable? Thank somebody. Since we could see the cost of Bitcoin go up a bit, before we discuss why it's difficult for Bitcoin to go up, we should initially discuss where it needs to go up the present moment. This is significant due to the CPI information that will be delivered soon. I figure we ought to zero in on where costs were nearby yesterday. We took a gander at how this region seems as though an example shaped before Bitcoin began to dip under a help level. This level is vital, this moment. I'm taking a gander at the most recent 4 hours since somebody requested to not be upset for that long. Presently, how about we additionally utilize the Fibonacci retracement to gauge the whole move in one bearing, and you will see our objective Fibonacci proportion. At this moment, I concur with you. It's not precisely squeezing into the 4-hour time span we requested. However, we can see that the objective Fibonacci proportion is drawing near to our past lows. At the present time, when we take a gander at our most minimal and most elevated places previously and the 4-hour time of solicitations, we can interface the most noteworthy and bottommost extremes to make an obstruction region. Furthermore, in the event that Bitcoin goes up in the following couple of hours, it could build a ton as a result of the huge changes in the market because of CPI information discharge. Indeed, this will happen soon. Our start, or where we started, a region around that is exceptionally hard to live in and undependable. I would truly prefer not to sell Bitcoin at the present time, yet in the event that you got it at a lower value, this may be a decent chance to sell some and create a gain. In the event that the expense goes over a specific point on the graph, there will be a more elevated level of opposition at 44,000. A couple of hours prior, we saw major areas of strength for a theme on the 1-hour graph when we checked our moving midpoints out. Indeed, our lines showing normal costs more than 50 and 200 days crossed going down. I don't think this is an extremely terrible sign for Bitcoin. Indeed, at this moment the weather conditions gauge for the following hour is turning out to be marginally more fragile, however I actually trust it. We ought to purchase a stock when its cost is at a significant help level. Where did we get the most assistance, and where might we at any point purchase more stocks or keep the ones we have? In the event that the cost of Bitcoin stays something very similar and goes up until the end of the day, we will have a higher everyday expense. Quite a while, where the expense is kept precisely at 41,245. Assuming that the cost goes down, it might test the day-to-day level once more. We could likewise confront some opposition at that level. Likewise, we additionally trust that, by and large, things are as yet looking great. That is the explanation. The Fibonacci proportion and standard diagram can assist us with carving out a decent opportunity to purchase Bitcoin at a more exorbitant cost. We can demand to quit losing cash beneath the area where we find support, which is under 41,200. At this moment, our Ether stochastic TGO oscillator on the day-to-day graph is showing a decent reset. We went down with a push and afterward turned from the exceptionally top on the right side. This moment, we are near selling more than we have. Exactly the same thing is occurring over and again. We are beginning to go down on the grounds that Bitcoin is gradually falling. I don't believe it's too overhyped this moment, yet we are beginning to see a little diminishing in energy. We are presently encountering a little lessening. Previously, when we were trading a ton, the cost of Bitcoin went down a little, however at that point returned up. We went to where Bitcoin was selling for not exactly common, and afterward its cost went up. Thus, I accept that when individuals are purchasing a ton of this item, or when the cost goes up, it implies it's likely a great opportunity to purchase. I figure we can for the most part have an uplifting perspective on Bitcoin. As a rule, we can foresee that the supposition will be 3 whenever. I have 1, and the one preceding this was 3. Revamp this text in straightforward words: every individual has the privilege to individual flexibility and security under the law. In this way, almost certainly, the worth of Bitcoin will be somewhat more flighty in the following couple of hours. Likewise, before we discuss a trouble spot that wasn't referenced yesterday, what's the following significant impediment we ought to know about assuming Bitcoin is supposed to go up in the following couple of hours as a result of the CPI information discharged? I figure we ought to focus on the part that turned strong previously. Presently, as we discussed prior, it seems as though this region was where individuals were purchasing Bitcoin before its value begun to fall. I concur that this level is truly significant. Therefore, likewise, this moment I'm taking a gander at the 4-hour time span, since there was a solicitation made for 4 hours. At the present time, ponder utilizing Fibonacci retracement to gauge a move in one bearing. You will observe that our objective is a Fibonacci proportion. At the present time, I concur with you. It doesn't exactly squeeze into our 4-hour demand time, however we can see the Fibonacci proportion objective. The figure is that it will be 3. The number before this one was 3. Could you, whenever, if nobody truly minds one way or the other, change the text you are inferring? Express in light of in this way, we will probably see a little improvement in the Bitcoin cost. Before we begin discussing where it's trying for Bitcoin to go up, we should look at where it needs to go up right away. This is basic due to the CPI information that is coming out soon. I figure we ought to zero in on the area where costs remain nearby. We investigated how this locale here seems, by all accounts, to resemble a model formed before Bitcoin began to plunge under a help level. This level is basic right now. I'm checking the 4-hour period of time since there was a 4-hour request block. Eventually, might we at any point in addition utilize the Fibonacci retracement to quantify the entire move in one bearing, and you'll see our objective Fibonacci degree. Eventually, I think you are correct. It's not precisely matching our 4-hour request block, yet we can see that the objective Fibonacci degree is appearing close to our past lows. At this point, when we genuinely examine our bottommost cutoff points ahead of time and the 4-hour block of requesting, we can see that we can interface the most indispensable and bottommost cutoff points to make an opposition district. In like manner, here, that is what you'll find assuming Bitcoin goes up in the going with a few hours. It could broaden a ton considering the insane changes in the market because of CPI information discharge. Without a doubt, this will happen now. Our start a locale in the local that is trying to make due or safe. I'm not definitively energetic about selling Bitcoin at the present time, yet on the off chance that you got it at a lower regard, this could be an inconceivable chance to sell some and make an increment. On the off chance that the cost goes up beyond a specific point on the outline, a more serious degree of impediment is at 44,000. A few hours sooner, we saw a convincing negative cross on the 1-hour diagram when we checked our moving midpoints out. Unquestionably, our 50 and 200 moving midpoints crossed in a plunging heading. Truly, I don't think this is an entirely tragic sign for Bitcoin. Point of fact, at the present time the model for the following hour is getting genuinely more sensitive, however I truly think so. We should purchase or handle a stock at basic help levels. What's our most imperative area of help where we can hope to purchase another stock or handle it? If the constant Bitcoin cost remains something practically indistinguishable for the rest of the day, and it's in the green, then we will have another standard cost. Longer time span, place where the cost is kept up with, definitively at 41,245. Assuming that we see the cost go down, it could retest the regular level. We could besides see some check at that level, plus, we moreover imagine that, if all else fails, things are as of now looking positive. That is the explanation. The breathtaking Fibonacci degree and the normal diagram can show us a good spot to purchase Bitcoin at another more noticeable cost. We can put a stop setback interest under the help region, which is under 41,200. At this point, our Ether stochastic TGO oscillator on the standard chart is showing a fair reset.